Hey, how's it going? It's Carl Chesov here. Tarried a psychic medium 14, 15 years. It is Star Saturday today. I made a video recently about all of the Piscean energy that we are going into, which is absolutely wonderful. Sensitivity, empathy, especially with Saturn. On a deep foundational level, institution structures, power, politics. We're going into a better time than the Aquarian energy. So that is wonderful. It's great. We also have at the moment Mars is in Cancer. So with all of those four placements we have in Pisces, which is the Sun and Mercury, Venus, and Saturn, we have Mars being in Cancer. So the drive at the moment is all about home and family, nurturing, nourishing. That is the drive. So what this means is that how do we protect women? How do we make sure that what it means to be a woman is being honored and respected? Sacred feminine energy. We have had currently, in the collective, an issue with what it means to be a man, what it means to be a woman, gender ideology, people that are not okay with their identity. As somebody who has had issues with sexuality and gender dysphoria, I talk from a space of understanding and knowing what that feels like, what it looks like, what it presents like, and maybe how to move through those spaces when you look at the underlying things that are making you run away from your baseline reality, which is why often there's a dysphoria or a dissociation between you and your body. So I get it. When people do that, they often run into spirituality. They want to change who they are. They want to change their identity. They want to change their name because they cannot be themselves. Now, I just made a video about this on Facebook as well. I am a heavily tattooed, heavily pierced person, right? So where does that sit in the realm of how I accept myself or how I change things? First of all, I don't have to justify that, but I understand how people would ask that question. And I had to ask that question to myself to make sure that I'm not a fucking hypocrite, because I don't want to be one of those people. What these things are for me, first of all, I think that they're very ancient ceremonial rituals that have been going on for millennia. But that's how I honor those spaces. When I have a process or I navigate something or there's pain in my life, I move through those and then they're marked somewhere. It's decoration, it's embellishment, it's adding onto myself. It's not taking away from the core of who I am, which once again is a man. Cannot change that. There's so many arguments of, to reinforce biology that I won't go into. But collectively, where I understand that some of these things are controversial, I also understand that people who are in this space deserve care and compassion, the Piscean energy, not hate. But also, Jupiter is in Taurus. This is all about boundaries. What that means is to not enable or pander at people's delusion, to hold accountability with boundaries and going, no, objectively, there's a truth here of what it is that you're doing. And I'm not moving from that space. Taurus don't fucking move. Jupiter is all about expansion. It's the largest planet. It's connected to the sacral chakra. We expand through relationships and connections. And actually, people holding boundaries and saying no is one of the most loving things that you can do for somebody. Once again, there doesn't need to be hate crime. Hate crime, lack of compassion, lack of understanding. Sometimes people will come and they will try to overstep and push those boundaries, and actually you holding those boundaries, once again, is the most loving thing that you can do. The sun energy, the sun in Pisces, that's the energy team of empathy, understanding, compassion. Mercury, communication, throat chakra. Mercury is the smallest planet, our smallest channel in our body is our throat. It's also in Pisces, as is Venus, our heart. The sun, as we move down to Saturn. These things, higher energy centers, move quickly. These planets complete their orbits very quickly. The sun is our crown. As we get down to Saturn, the thing that moves very slow, takes ages. We're into baseline, raw, material, physical, heavy, denser space. Which is why when people have their Saturn return, it's so fucking difficult. So yeah. So that is a little update on where everything is. I think it's good to utilize YouTube and use these spaces, you know, because I understand, right? If you, I don't know, well, listen. Um, I have been doing this work for a long time. Had a little bit of a 10 minutes of viral fame, but also very aware that not a lot of people look at my content, um, which is, it is what it is. That may possibly change. If it does, it does. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I'm still going to do it because I think that it's good for people and it's part of the service and part of the work. I don't want it to detract from the sessions that I do with people. So that's where I stand with those spaces. But what's my point? Losing my train of thought. What's my train of thought? Damn it. I will continue to make these videos regardless of who is looking and not looking. That's what I wanted to say. Making these videos is important because I think that I also, it's good for people to know and see where I come from, because I understand that sometimes the presence that I have on social media in terms of Facebook and Instagram is, you know, I poke fun at shit and I say things sometimes for shock value. Also, that are the truth, but to highlight spaces and places that we need to look at and go, guys, what the fuck are we doing? Right? I understand I do that. So it's good to make these videos so that people can really understand, oh, right, that's what you fucking meant, you know? That's where I was getting to. So yeah, I believe that viral video is still going up in views. It brought some very interesting people who slipped through my net. I made a video about that recently. I'm not fucking into that. I'm not into people who are coming to me because they're not wanting to actually deal with their shit. They're wanting something from me, but they don't want to do the work, or they're draining, or they just want to energetically take. I am not fucking interested in that. If you want to come and work with me in a space where you genuinely want a connection, wonderful. Not my job to prove nothing. Learned that a long time ago. We come to the table in a space of respect for each other.